Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. Boy, they have, in terms of building materials, if you are a do-it-yourselfer or you have a home improvement project or you are working with a company, make sure that they are taking a look at A.G. Hines Company first. I'm guessing they are because they're the number one building supply guys, building material guys in East Tennessee and have been for 100 years. Just think about that, 100 years in business, 1920 to 2020. That tells you all you need to know about the good people at A.G. Hines Company and the type of materials and tools that they cover and sell and back. Get down there and check them out. You can visit them online at A.G. Hines Company, aghines.com as well. All right, this is our Hot Read segment, 2 quick questions. The first one I want to talk about the third quarter. There we go. Drawn and third quartered. Get it? Drawn and quartered. All right. This it's bad on offense too, but let's just focus on the defense because these numbers are more amazing. Opponents have run they've had 17 drives against you this year in the third quarter. All right. They've scored 9 touchdowns. So more than half the drives they've scored touchdowns. They've got 5 field goals. Now a couple of those at Georgia, the defense actually did well, but still, 2 punts, 1 fumble. Your opponents have scored on 14 of 17 third-quarter drives this year. That's not a great way to go. 850 yards you've allowed on 116 plays in the third quarter. You're giving up more than 7 yards a play in the third quarter. You've been outscored 81-24 in the third quarter this year. And during this 4-game losing streak, just in the second half of games, you've been outscored 88-7. Will Overstreet, good luck with this one. As a former Vol, former NFL player, what's going on at halftime with this bunch?
Yeah, that's a hard question because you look at this and you'd say they'd come in with some confidence because they're usually playing a much better first half. But when they come out, they're just not ready to play. And more so than anything, I honestly believe it's the offensive coordinator for the other team. Arkansas yesterday was cute. Did a bunch of reverses, whatever. But then there were a couple plays, they just handed off and they ran between the tackles. And guess what? 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards. And then they said, let's throw a slant. Yep, that worked. And so when they come out of that second half, they realize, hey, a nail is a nail. Let's just use a hammer and run it between the tackles and throw some easy passes in the middle of the field, and we're going to drive down the field and we're going to beat this team. I think it's the offensive coordinators, like I said, stop doing this big old random game plan and say, you know what, the last 2 teams, 3 teams, 4 teams had success with these 5 plays. I'm going to run those 5 plays.
Okay, I don't want to take the offense off the hook. Obviously, you're a former defensive player, which is why we focused on defense. The numbers are more obvious. They're doing nothing on offense in the third quarter as well. I mean, yesterday it was, 3 and outs. So I wonder if the same kind of lesson applies when you look at the opposing team. Are they figuring out Tennessee's – in the first half, they look at Tennessee and they say, well, they've only got this. So in the second half, they come out and say, okay, we're going to exploit this, and all we have to do is shut down that. Yep. I just wonder if this team is so limited that opposing teams get one look at them in a half and go, oh, now we got it. Because you look at the Arkansas game, you look at the Kentucky game. That was like a mirror image. Your defense played well in the first half, and then you come out first drive of the second half and just get it run down your throat. Anything to add on this topic? Any thoughts?
No, I think, first off, they need to quit scrimmaging at halftime. Yeah. Maybe that's what they're doing. The second thing is what that number tells me is you need to have a big lead at halftime.
Right.
And I may be wrong about this, but I don't think the offense generated a first down the first 5 possessions of the second half other than one on a penalty. So you were 3 and out. You had 1 penalty for first down. That's awful. Now, you did have your quarterback hurt. Okay, I give you that. So I understand that. But I do think there may be some adjustments made by the defense. I think one thing Arkansas did was they said, okay, second half, stacking the line. We're going to have 1 safety, stack the line, and we're not going to allow you to run the football. We're going to have 1 more than you can block. And I think that's kind of what contributed to Tennessee's offensive woes. But that's just 1 game. That's been a consistent pattern, John, as you pointed out. And the only thing I can look at is I think opposing teams are doing a better job of adjusting at halftime than Tennessee.
Yeah, you wonder that. And I think it's clearly evident when you look at third down conversions. It's been brutal. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you look at what Arkansas, what that first drive of the second half, what did 17 plays, 5 for 5 on third down? Mm-hmm. Is that winning football? And in the same time, I think Tennessee was converting like in this stretch 27% of the time on third down. You gave up enough third down conversions on one drive for the whole game. And John, one of your key stats that you've shown us time after time is turnover. Yeah. Arkansas put the ball on the ground 4 times yesterday. How many did Tennessee recover? 0. There was your chance to make the breaks, especially late when Felipe Franks drops it on like the 10-yard line. If you want to get back and have a chance to win the game, you've got to recover that fumble. So you're not making the plays and you're giving up plays.
Jimmy, you had a great stat Friday on the radio where Will and I join you on Sports Talk on WNML 3 to 7, Monday through Friday.
Thank you.
Good plug for you. You had a stat about Tennessee, third down offense, third down defense.
Yeah.
Was it minus 21 was the number?
It was Tennessee was converting 26% on third down, and their defense was giving up 47%.
Yeah.
That's a minus 21. LSU was at minus 14, and nobody else was worse than minus 5. But that's a horrible number for you. But the other thing, so Tennessee starts out last night, they convert 4 of their first 5 third downs, and they got 1 out of 10 after that. And a lot of that was in the second half.
Let's be quick on the second part of the second question in this segment, and that is about the offensive line. They came out yesterday with the game plan that I think they need to go with. It drives fans crazy. They're like, you're too conservative. It's awful. I get it. You're not good enough. In case you haven't seen it yet and haven't grasped this, they can't open it up. You can say open it up. They can't. If they do that, they lose bigger. So you can't do that. I thought their game plan yesterday, boring. That's exactly what you need to be. Run it, eat clock. Don't let Garantano throw 40 times. Pray that the other team makes a mistake. Pray that you don't make a mistake. They did it in the first half. Look good. They're fine in the first half. Offensive line looks like they're healthier. You had the open date. Here's what we all signed on for before the season. And in the second half, back to nothing. Now maybe that's Arkansas deciding we're going to stack the line, but still when you've got this all-everything offensive line that we've heard about over and over again, and yet you run 50 times for 185 yards. That's 3.7 yards per carry. Against the 12th best rush defense in the SEC. There are only 14 teams in the SEC.
Yeah.
So that's a bad. You're going to see a much better run defense this week with Texas A&M. Is it time quickly to just say, all right, offensive line is what it is. We're 6 games in. Let's stop expecting some sort of turning of the corner. I've given up. Anybody else?
I'll put it this way. They're not good enough to win only on them, all right? So they're not dominant enough to be that. They're good enough to win in this league if you have other parts. We don't have those other parts. So the expectation of are you able to lean on them to a point where they control it enough where there are no other problems and you can win just on their dominance? No. And they're short of the expectations that a lot of us hoped. And so they're still a good offensive line, but they're just not somebody that can carry you to a win.
It's not the Tennessee Valley Authority of the early 90s. Your thoughts?
No, just that, and I agree with Will on that. I think the offensive line the first half actually did a pretty good job, but in the second half when teams stack the line, they're not good enough to overcome that, and I think that's what got them in trouble. And I think Tennessee's lack of a passing game has put more pressure on the offensive line and run blocking. Without that element, that threat of throwing the football, it's kind of hamstrung you a little bit.
And kind of last thing, John, where's the explosive running play? Where's the running play that gets you more than, say, 20 yards?
Yeah, you had one 20-yard run last night from Garantano.
Right.
That means on the season, you've had 5.
Correct.
5 run plays of 20 yards or more, none of 30 yards
So
or more.
if you're going to keep pound it, sooner or later you need to break some of those. I mean, you need to get a 30-yard, 40-yard. You got to do something.
Part of that's on your backs. I mean,
Exactly.
They're not exactly breaking tackles all over the field on the year. Eric Gray looked pretty good for stretches last night, but we still haven't seen what we thought we would see out of that run game. All right, when we come back, why they were stupid. We may have one for Arkansas, but we're going to have several for Tennessee, including that field goal non-attempt late in the game. We'll discuss. Come on back on the Sports Source.